Uttarakhand government will convene a special session of its legislative assembly in the coming days to discuss and pass the Uniform Civil Code bill. The report, it is learned, has placed quite a lot of emphasis on gender equality and equal rights for daughters. The committee's recommendations also say that the marriageable age for women should be retained at 18. What the draft envisages and what we understand is that this is an attempt to formulate one law that's applicable to all religions in matters related to marriage, divorce, inheritance and adoption. Now, the bill's broader focus, from what we understand, is on uniformity in personal laws such as marriage registration, divorce, property rights, interstate property rights, maintenance and also custody of children. With this, Uttarakhand is all set to become the first state in the country to implement the UCC. A committee formed under the leadership of retired Justice Ranjana Desai would submit a report to Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami in the coming days. That's what we hear. To talk about how this Uttarakhand UCC bill could actually frame a template for the national UCC in the coming days, we have a panel of experts with us, Javed Ansari, political analyst, and also PKD Nambiar, social commentator. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us on this. Mr. Ansari, I'd like to come to you first. Uttarakhand government, of course, is planning to hold a special session to table the Uniform Civil Code draft. We also know that states like Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat already have committees in place. So can we say that the process of a national UCC has been kickstarted because the Law Ministry is also holding consultations? What does this mean for the BJP's promise of a UCC, sir?
Well, I do hope that this has been thought through. Because at implementing it at the state is different. The state legislatures have only rights over the state. Their laws cannot be applied across the country. But when it comes to the national level, I do hope that the government will take into consideration the various systems, the various cultural traditions and practices in different parts in the country. For example, in Goa, there is a code bill which allows a Hindu male to take a second wife if his first wife cannot deliver a male child at the age of 30. Now, how will this be reconciled? There are different laws and functions in Jharkhand, in the Northeast, in other states as well. There are different practices. So it's one thing to be able to use this as a political tool. It's quite another to bring about harmony and sensitize and allow it and ensure that it does justice to the sensitivities involved across communities and castes. And that will be the big challenge before the commission. As a matter of principle, I, for one, am not opposed to UCC. But right. I would like to see that it ensures that it just doesn't target one community or caste or one particular group, but takes it takes a holistic approach. And I would like to see what they come up, because so far we don't know what the UCC, there is no draft circulated. There's no proposal put forward by the government. So we don't know what the union government has in mind as far as a UCC at the national level is concerned. Right. So for the first steps first, the government must take us into conference on what it plans, and then we can debate this further.
Right. Mr. Nambiar, that's an important point that Mr. Ansari is making. You know, Uttarakhand is a small hill state and it does not represent the whole country. So when it comes to this whole country, we already saw the ST community has been quite against and averse to any interference in their local customs. So when we talk about a national UCC, clearly a lot more consultations would be required. Would you agree with that, sir?
See, of course, there is no doubt, Vasudha, that there has to be multiple discussions. That is the reason in most of these states, wherever they were talking about the law commissions and other committees have been formed to discuss and study and come up with a proposal. And I am sure that in wherever this kind of a law, if it is national level, if it is coming, which is going to have a social impact, needs to be thoroughly studied and do it. But then you need to understand that from the day one, even the makers of our constitution has envisaged for a UCC, but unfortunately, maybe our political compulsions or the people who have been ruling the country for so long have been trying to keep a very low profile or don't wanted to discuss this as even as a subject. But today, I'm very happy. I mean, there are three things BJP has promised. One is Ram Mandir, maybe through the court. It's happening, it's taking shape. Article 370 is the second topmost topic for them. They have taken away that. And now the third one is the UCC. And the UCC will make me and Javed Ansari Saab at the same level at par. Now, neither my growth, the liberties and etc. Rather than that, me and Ansari Saab will be the same, will be treated as the same citizens, which will have the same rights, even like the criminal law. So I think it's a good step. Maybe it may be a small state, doesn't matter. The small state can create a template for all of us, the rest of the states to follow. And maybe they can add or delete or modify. And finally, if some states, at least 5-10 states comes up, implement the UCC, I'm sure that it will also lead to a national uniform civil code at the end of the day. Well, the bottom line is simple, that we need to integrate India. We need to integrate every Indian with one identity, one law applicable for all of us. Unless and until that happens, we are divided by caste, we are divided by religion, we are divided, identify ourselves as a different tribe, all different people. I think that I'm not saying that it will all go on once a law comes up, everything will change our socio thing. But eventually, somewhere we have to start for a progressive nation, for a 21st century, or rather becoming a superpower. I think this requires very, very importantly for our to make everybody come together. And this is something which has been envisaged by all our founding fathers. I mean, or the people who were the makers of the Constitution. Article 44 clearly says that. And even like a few days ago, if you remember that our Vice President has also said that I think UCC is one thing which we need to really work upon to bring together all of us as a society or a proud Indian, rather than just identifying ourselves as somebody or the other, or with our own religion or a caste. Even more than the religion, I would say that the caste. Like I have a tag called as Nambiar along with me. It's my caste, right? Yeah. So I think eventually that needs to go off, if not today. So I think it's a good beginning. Maybe even a small state can show us the way how this can be taken up. And as you said, Madhya Pradesh, maybe Rajasthan, Gujarat is in the second line. I think they will also be implementing it before 2024 elections. I'm sure for that.
Mr. Ansari, what is the future of personal laws in the country? Because as the chorus for UCC grows, personal laws were brought in, they were envisaged to protect the rights of the minorities, the cultural and family rights, deeply personal matters. But as the chorus around UCC grows, there is also a threat to personal laws. And I believe that there is a chance for reform, even in personal laws. But do you think that there is, there is a conflicting position there when it comes to safeguarding personal laws and thereby the rights of minorities?
Look, as far as reform and improvement is concerned, there is always room for improvement. Nothing is perfect. We don't live in a perfect world, a perfect society. So therefore, there is always need for improvement. And I do believe that whether, I'm not so sure whether even if we can't do it in one go, and even incremental progress is welcome. As far as the question of uniformity is concerned, look, the beauty of this country is its diversity. My friend Mr. Nambiar was talking of identity. I have several identities. My national identity is that of an Indian. I have an identity as a professional. I am a father or a husband or a brother, a son, everywhere. I have a state, so different identities, but my national identity is that of an Indian. When it comes to national affairs, when it comes to religious affairs, I'm a very proud Indian Muslim. When it comes to professional, I'm a very proud and sincere journalist. And similarly, I have an identity as that of a husband, of a father, of a son, of a brother, and hopefully a grandfather in due course. So, I mean, these are things, there is no point, you can't ram down uniformity. In the name of uniformity, you want to if the aim is to trample over everybody and to kind of implement or thrust a particular vision or a particular cultural social vision, then that is not something that I agree for.
Right.
That I do believe is not called for.
Right. Mr. Nambiar, I also believe that this is an opportunity for states to bring in progressive laws, right? Because women, have always been at the receiving end in many societies, including Indian society, when it comes to inheritance, when it comes to, even in polygamy, because their rights are curtailed. So is this, will you be disappointed if states actually don't get into these tricky areas which actually promise greater rights or at least equal rights for women when it comes to inheritance, or having more say of the woman when it comes to marriage, or for that matter divorce, or even adoption?
Vasudha, every law also needs to evolve depending upon the time, maybe the way our society get matured. You remember that during the Mutalaq, when they have stopped the Mutalaq all over, so many people were just crying over, and there were many people from the religious people were against it. But the truth is that the Muslim woman has got a liberation in a way. It is something which has been accepted by the religious minds also of late. So I think this will have, I think I wanted to borrow a word what Ansari Sahab said, that think of a progressive. Every law also needs to be progressive. I'm sure that maybe Uttarakhand UCC may be a perfect one, maybe a little imperfect, but I think there were somewhere we have to start. I'm sure that there will be issues, there will be concerns over whether it is from the Hindu side or a Muslim side or even a Christian side, or even their subsects as we go on. But then we will have to think from the point of view of a national interest of each and every Indian. And when you keep that Indian as an individual, put them in the front, and it is for their progress, and I'm sure that things will change. Eventually, we are a progressive society. We are changing day by day. We are progressing day by day. Today, we don't identify, everybody is not identified. I don't even, like, for an example, if I employ quite a large number of people, we don't ask which caste they are from. We don't even have a column to write that which caste you are from. Whether it is a Muslim, whether it is a Christian, whether it is a Sikh, it doesn't matter. So the corporate world has changed in the same way, and I'm sure that the only worry is that this reservation drama which is going on in everywhere, whether it is in Maharashtra or Bihar or in any other places. I think this is going to be, this will also eventually will help us to, more than the caste and creed, I think this reservation drama will also get little diluted with UCC coming in.
Okay.
Because people will start identifying themselves as an Indian rather than just as a Pandit or a Kshatriya or a Muslim or a Sunni or a Shia. I think that will go off eventually. I hope, and that's the way we wanted to, that's the India you and me wanted, Ansari Sahab.
Right. Right, Mr. Ansari, would you like to respond to that? Because he's saying that, UCC can actually also dilute differences in caste that the country has seen for many years. I know it's quite far-fetched.
It's very, one, it's a no-brainer to say that the law that we make will be with the aim of bringing the country together. Obviously, we can only make laws for India. Our laws are not applicable outside the shores of India. Number two, Nambiar, my friend, mentions that it will end caste disparities, but he doesn't talk of religious disparities. Why must every Indian every child that is admitted to a school, when you go for admission, you have to write which religion do you belong to? How is that necessary? How is that necessary? Why must I state which religion that I belong to? Right. Religion is an accident of birth. Children don't choose their religion. It's an accident of birth. Right. Why can't we just say that we're Indians?
Yeah, that's an important point, Mr. Ansari. I'll have to just, we'll take this forward some other day. We're running short of time. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you. That was a panel on Uttarakhand's UCC, stressing on the importance of consultations and saying that the emphasis needs to be on a holistic approach rather than bringing in just a uniformity.